What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? I am showing you just real briefly just now how we're going to set up the settings to print from the T5270 and the T7270, which are the big boy printers, the wide format 36 inch and 44 inch printers that we have using them as sublimation printers. So we have converted them by using the cartridges that are refillable. The chips are they're not resettable chips. They're chips that are one-time use, and you do have to change those chips out, but you don't have to change the cartridges out. And of course, you're using True Colors ink. So those are the requirements to get started. Let me go ahead and show you what all you're going to need for this process. Um, First, you'll need to make sure that you have True Color ink, and if you're interested in the ink for the large format setup, if you go to the Sublimation Ink and Blanks tab here, let me go ahead and expand this to 36. All right, now you could have purchased the entire kit or just the inks, um, but either way, whenever you purchase ink, you'll see that there is a link for the ICC profile. So first, make sure you purchase your inks. Then you'll see a link here for a True Colors Innate Lab ICC profile. We're going to go ahead and open that link. And this is the ICC profile for all of the different profiles that we have right now. Let's see if we can make this a list so you can see the full name here. So I just clicked on the icon so we can see the list instead of the grid. And you don't need Google Drive. You can download these individually. You can download this entire folder where it says download all. But in this case, we only need this one for the 7270 and the 5270. For those of you who asked me, I have one for the 15,000 and the 16650. And of course, you need one for the 8550 since it has the gray ink. All the other printers, you can try this one where it says desktop CMYK. If you have if you have a workforce like 7710 or 20 or something like that, and you want to try this profile, absolutely try it and let me know if it works out for you. But for here, we're going to go with the T7270. Let's download. And then let's just go ahead and save the file so I can show you where it goes and how you open it and use it. So there's the profile. I'm going to go ahead and go to open the containing folder. So there it is right here. I'm going to just right click and go to install the profile. Also, if you double click on it, it should automatically install the profile. You see that? So I'm going to right click and go to install the profile. That's all that I have to do. Now when I get ready to print, I'm going to be able to see that profile. But before we print, let me show you how to save your default settings. Okay, so let's go to printer, and I'm just typing in the word print. So I'm going to go to my printers and scanners. I'm going to go to, and I have to warn you all, printing from Macs is not ideal with the color management, so it does make it a little more difficult, and it's almost just not going to give you the same results. So even if you have to just have a laptop that is a PC just for the sake of your sanity when it comes to color management and printing, I would get an inexpensive laptop at least just to print from and to do your color management, so then that way you're not trying to figure out what the relative settings are for a Mac, because I don't have a Mac and I can't tell you that, but I know that people that have Macs generally have issues with printing the appropriate colors. So you will get it eventually, but it's going to take a lot of trial and error to figure out what the Mac settings are versus what I'm showing you right now, which are the PC settings. All right, so let's go to, I'm going to go ahead and set up the 5200 and the 7200. So this video should be dual purpose for those of you 5270. It's the 36-inch printer. The 7270 is the 44-inch printer. So Right now I can go to, I'm going to go to open my queue just so I can see. Then I'm going to go to printer and I'm going to go to printing preferences. All right, and this is what it's set as default. It's not set to the correct setting, so I need to set that up. And then what we're going to do is save this so that by default these will be the settings. The only time we're going to change it is if we have something that is not default. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm on roll paper, plain paper, and my roll paper size is 36 inches. Okay. The next step is I want to change my paper size. I want to do a custom paper size. Right, so my custom paper size is, I like to do a 36 by 44. So I'm going to type in 36 x 44. And as you can see, it's already there. But if I did not have it here, I would type in the paper width here, which is 36. And then 44. This allows us to print that all over template that I give y'all for free. It is 36 by 44. And then of course my units are inches, and then what would happen is I would hit save. It's going to ask me, do I want to overwrite the previous setting? I'm going to say yes, just because I want to show you. Oh, never mind. It's not going to let me. But you all will definitely see I have a lot of different settings. So depending on what I'm printing, I might be printing 36 by 13. I might be printing some socks. So then I do 36 by 20. I might be doing a youth shirt, which usually I do that like a 36 by 20. 28, I believe. That's what I do my youth shirts. And then a 36 by 32 is what I can get up to a large on. So I like to save my paper, and basically I set up these individual paper sizes. You can take a look at what I have, but every time you do a project you may end up doing a different paper size and then saving that paper size, so when you do that subsequent project you already have the paper size there. But for default I want it to be 36 by 44. I can always, when I'm in Photoshop and I'm printing a different type of project, I can always change my paper size there. All right, so now what I want to do is come down here to my print quality. I'm going to go to advanced settings. Now this should look pretty similar for the 44-inch printer, except you're going to change your paper size a little differently. So let me show you how to set up the 36-inch printer, then I'll show you the settings for the 44-inch printer. Okay, so we're going to do the color in black and white photo. The color mode, we're going to go to off. We do not want the printer to do color management, so off is what you want to select here. The resolution, I don't do the max quality, but I do the high quality. If you choose the max quality, if you see some banding, and this is what I've been doing lately just to not even worry about banding, because sometimes you'll get banding depending on how detailed your image is and how much ink it's laying down. So I'll put it on max quality, but I'll put the plain paper setting and I will leave it on high speed. That's probably my best combination where I don't have to watch my printer. Sometimes if you put it on the regular quality, and then you have it on high speed and you have it on plain paper, you're probably, it's not like it's a bad head cleaning issue, it's like skipped lines sometimes. And in that case, I usually remedy that just by putting it on max quality. Max quality is just what I'm doing by default now. So max quality, high speed, and plain paper. All right, now there are a couple of other details we need to change here. Let's go to our layout. We want to make sure that we select mirror image so that it always prints mirror image by default. We will have to manually tell it not to print mirror image, okay? And there's nothing else here that I will change, except sometimes I'll go to my advanced and I will go to my advanced media control and tell it that I need about 60 seconds of drying time. If you have a lot of dark prints, let's say you're doing a lot of black and navy blue or dark green, and that ink needs a little time to dry, give it 60 seconds between prints. Yes, it will take an additional minute for each print, but it will mitigate that risk of the paper touching itself and basically having that ink transfer in places that you don't want it to transfer. Even that ink transferring onto the back of another sheet can still affect your print quality and your production. Okay, so I'm just putting this on 60 seconds here, and I'll have that as my default because I do print a lot of full color. Let's say okay here. Now the objective is to save this setting. So I'm going to go up here where it says save and delete. And I'm going to name this 36 by 44 true because it's true colors, Innate because it's Innate Lab, and then sub because it's sublimation. And I'm just going to write out the whole word sublimation so it thinks it's a different setting. Now if I hit save and I select this setting, this is going to be the default setting for this printer forevermore. Okay, so I can go ahead and hit OK here. That way when I print from Photoshop, if I go File, Print, and I would not suggest that you print from I'm not even going to tell it to print from something like that. Let me go ahead and print from a JPEG instead, because if you ever even hit print from a very large template like this, you could be ready for a shutdown. So I'd rather just open up the flattened version of the file. Alright, so that's the flattened version of the file. This is the PNG or JPEG version. Do not print from your templates. I know you can, but it's not worth it. So let's go here to File, Print on our flattened version of the file. We'll go ahead and select the 5200 here, which is what you would select for 5270. Now we don't want to choose printer manages color. We want Photoshop to manage the color, okay? Then on top of that, let's go ahead and go up here to our print settings. And because I already have Photoshop set up, it may not have the 36 by 44 there, but we're just going to double check and see. And let me see what size my image is right now. Whenever you save as a PNG, it does this weird image size. So let me make sure my image is the right size, and it's not. This is the reason why I save as JPEGs when I'm ready to print, because Photoshop does some weird stuff with saving as PNGs. So it's supposed to be 44 by 36, right? At 150 DPI. But what it does when it saves it as a PNG, it converts it to 72 DPI, and then it converts the length and width measurements to some crazy numbers. So what I did just now is did a save as. So if I check my image now, it's 44 by not quite 36, but that's fine. And then 150 DPI. So now when I go to print, it won't be a super huge file. Now, because I'm printing on a 36-inch printer, and this is probably going to help a lot of you all who may print from the 24-inch printer or any other printer, you're going to have to tell it to either print portrait or landscape. And in this case, we have to choose landscape because our 44 inches is the width and our 36 is the height here. And we said we're going to do Photoshop manage the colors. The print profile I want you to use, if you installed your ICC profile the way we did in the beginning of the video, then you'll see you'll have a True Colors Innate Lab here for the T7270 and the 5270. Select that one. Go ahead and select relative color metric. You can take off the black point compensation here, and you would go ahead and hit print there. And of course, my printer isn't plugged in right now, but if it were, you would see that it would be sending you the notice that it's ready to print. So print queue there. This one's going to be held up because my printer's offline at this moment. All right, so let's go ahead and set up the printing preferences for the 7270. So let's go to printers and scanners. And this computer, I should have the 7200 down here too. Do I not? I thought I did, but I did not. So I guess if you don't know where to get the driver from, let's go grab it real quick. So let's do the T7270 and let's type in the word driver. So I'm going to get the driver. Make sure it's coming from Epson and not like some Epson dash something. There's too many websites out there that are basically spamming people looking for drivers. Okay, so my operating system is detected as Windows 10 64-bit. So I'm going to get the appropriate driver. I just go ahead and get the whole combo package just because I don't know initially what I don't need. So let's go ahead and download it. And it looks like it didn't take that long. And this is, let's go ahead and open the containing folder. There's our driver right here. So let's right click and open it. It's an executable, so you're going to have to give it permission most times to run on your computer. So I'm going to hit yes and OK. And it may not do the 7270 because I don't have it here. It's at my other location. So we'll see if it'll allow me to set it up without the printer being connected. So I want to do the 7270. You probably don't have a 7270D. That's the one that has dual rollers, and it's much more expensive, much bulkier, and it's rare. It's rare that you'll have the dual rolls, but if you do have the dual rolls, then you select the D. I tell it not to do printer guides in the Microsoft Office. I do let it download the accounting tool because the accounting tool is actually pretty cool once you learn how to use it. It tells you how much ink and paper you use up, so that you can price what your cost is versus what you are charging your customer for your finished goods. So we'll let that install. Meanwhile, I'll check to see if y'all have any questions so far. And like I said, this won't be a long video. I have a class to teach in about 15 minutes, but I did want to go ahead and get this out there for some of you who are wondering how to get better quality. The Pro inks are extremely pigmented, extremely intense. So what I've learned is that you kind of have to lighten it up a little bit, and that's what the ICC profile does in order to get really bright colors instead of these really rich colors. Which is really great when you want like a really rich, burgundy or something like that. But when you want something like a a coral, something that's a little bit lighter and brighter, you want to be able to achieve those colors, and the printer can achieve those colors, and it has the color gamut appropriate to do that. But it needs a little help from the ICC profile to basically lighten up the intensity of these colors. And you'll see that the colors from the Pro ink are definitely more saturated. They look clean. They look very substantial, and there's a clear difference between the Pro level and anybody's desktop ink, including the True Colors desktop ink. Even though the True Colors desktop ink is the bomb.com, we just need to understand that there is a difference between the Pro level and the desktop level ink. All right, looks like we're still downloading that, so let me go back. It's going to ask me this. I'm going to say it's a USB connection. It's asking me if I have the printer. Yeah, and it's not letting me do that. But let me see if it's installing it and it'll let me get to it. I do have a video showing you how my paper settings and everything are for the 44-inch printer. The major difference is when you have your printer settings, and I could have sworn that I had that printer on here already. And I guess I already have the accounting tool on here, so I don't need it. Let me see if it's possible. I might be able to do it this way. All right, so let's go to our printing preferences. The difference in what I would do to set up the 44-inch printer, the only difference is I would set up a custom paper size, and I would call it 44 because that's my width, 44 by 36. So I'll put my width first. So the paper width is going to be now 44 inches, and then the paper height would be 36 inches. Now the reason why it's not letting me put 44, obviously, it knows that this is a 36-inch printer and this is the maximum. But you can indeed create a paper size of 44 by 36 for the 44-inch printer. Of course, you would save that, and then that will be your default. That's the only difference. You would still make sure when you went to file print, the only thing is you don't have to make it portrait now because it's technically already, or you don't have to make it landscape. It's technically already the right dimensions when you have it in portrait mode, which is great because you don't have to check that each time. And then the other thing is you want to make sure you're still using the ICC profile with the 44-inch printer. It's the exact same steps. It's pretty much the exact same printer except for one gives you 36-inch width, one gives you 44-inch width. That's the only difference. And the 36-inch printer, you can print up to a 4x without having to tile anything. In a 5x, it's possible to do it that way, but you may just need a sliver of maybe 2 inches of print, 2 inches by about 30 inches at the bottom of the shirt, just in case it doesn't have enough to make it to the very bottom of that hem of a 5x. So you can definitely get away with a 36-inch printer doing all over prints for almost every size t-shirt there is out there. All right, so I hope that answered some questions on that. It looks like P-Killer, I wanted to be able to show you the 24-inch printer, but I'm running out of time before class, so we'll revisit that one for you. I just wanted to go ahead and put this one up, and I'll make a separate video for you for the 24-inch printer and what you're needing to do to rotate and get that second print of that little sliver of the next part of the print without having to use up a bunch of paper. It'll basically be what I'm doing right now, which is creating a custom paper size so that it knows to cut it off before it continues that print. All right, love. So I will be seeing some of y'all in class tonight, literally in the next 8 minutes. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you all. I love you all dearly. And until next time, bye.